Guys, today I am taking a look at the Kaleidescape Strato M. Yes, I have in my hands the actual device. Now, this is really cool. This is really cool. Now, I have to clarify here right from the beginning. This is not a paid review. Kaleidescape is not paying me for this video. They are not providing me with the equipment. This is a loaner model. Once I'm done with the review, I am shipping it back to Kaleidescape. Kaleidescape is not telling me what I have to say, and they have not approved or disapproved of anything that I'm saying in this video. They haven't seen this video. In fact, if you're watching this video right now, it's very likely that you are seeing this video before anyone at Kaleidescape is even seeing this video. So this is a completely like hands-off review. I actually reached out to Kaleidescape. I contacted them. I said, hey, listen, I am extremely interested in reviewing the Strato M, this model in particular. Now, why am I interested in the Model M? The reason is because the Strato M is a 2K player. Now, you're probably thinking, wait a second, 2K, isn't that not as good as 4K? Yes, right? 4K is better than 2K, but here's the thing. So Kaleidescape has the Strato E, which is basically completely comparable to the Strato M, but it is a 4K player. The difference, though, is that the Strato E is $2,995 for the player, whereas the Strato M is $1,995. So there is literally a $1,000 price difference between the 4K model and the 2K model. And the reason why I really wanted to check out the Strato M is because of that price difference. But the question that I had in my mind was, is that 2K display that noticeable? Does it make that much of a difference compared to the 4K model, right? Because here's the thing. If the 2K model performs at a level that is acceptable and within my range of, what I want out of a player, if the 2K model can do that at $1,000 less than the 4K model, then in my opinion, the Strato M, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. Because what do people complain about the most about Kaleidescape? What do you just see constantly in the comment section of videos about the Kaleidescape? You see people saying, oh, this is too expensive, right? Now, in years past, yes, Kaleidescape players have been $10,000 plus, but that's in the past. Now they're putting out models, a 4K model at a $3,000 price point, a 2K model at a $2,000 price point. Now we're talking, right? So I'm like, okay, does the 2K model, how does it look, right? So I wanted to compare it, do a side-by-side comparison between the 2K model and what I get with a disc. That's why I was so interested in reviewing the Strato M. And I am so grateful that the people at Kaleidescape were willing to send me one and say, all right, check it out, see what you think. So now I have the Strato M, and I got to take a look at it. So the question is, what did I think? Well, I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But in the meantime, there are a few things that I want to cover. So with the Strato M, you do get in the box, you get a network cable, you get an HDMI cable, you get the power supply, obviously, and the power cable, but you also get the remote. Now, in my case, I controlled it primarily from the app on my phone. I found that to be the most convenient way to control it, but it does include a remote. So if you prefer that way, you can also use the remote. The other thing is the build quality. This is a pretty solid unit. Like it's got a good solid feel to it. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel flimsy. It feels very well built. It's got a good metal solid case to it. And it's got some heft to it. Like it's heavier than I would have guessed. So I'm pleasantly surprised with just how durable it feels. Like this is a solid piece of hardware. Now the Strato M does support both Dolby Vision as well as HDR10. Now both the Strato E and the Strato M both have about 500 gigabytes of storage space. So in that respect, they're identical. They can both hold about a half a dozen titles at any given time. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait a second, if they only hold half a dozen, how is this even valuable? Well, it's a rolling content library, right? So you download some content, you watch it, and then when you download something else to watch, that last viewed or the content that you viewed the longest ago, that one drops off and gets replaced with the new content. So it's kind of a rolling library. So you purchase a video, you purchase a concert, whatever, you can access it at any time to download. So even once it gets pushed off of your hard drive, you can always download it again in the future if you purchased it. Now, the main competitive advantage that you get with the Kaleidescape is being able to access full resolution content material, right? So when you're streaming something over your Apple TV or Roku or whatever, you're streaming it compressed. Like we all know that, right? You know, the video is compressed, but especially the sound is really compressed. That's where they really cut down on the quality. The difference though with the Kaleidescape is it's full resolution and you download it to the hard drive on your device. When you download it, the movie is stored here locally. So when you're watching it on your TV, it's pulling it directly from the device. So it's just from your device over the cable, your AVR, and onto your projector. So it's lossless. The audio is lossless. The video, it's like watching a disc, right? Whereas with streaming, it's problematic. It's not only is it compressed, but it's also dependent on your internet connection, all the way from your house to wherever the servers are that the original content is located. And so having that file right there locally on your system, that is the real advantage of Kaleidescape. It's like watching a disc. Now, for testing purposes, to compare the Kaleidescape Strato M to my 4K discs, I did it in two locations, two setups. So the first is here in my main theater where I have the Valerian Vision Master Pro 2 projector paired with a 145-inch Dragonfly screen. And for my discs, I played them on a Panasonic UB420. So that's how I compared that way. And then the second setup that I used was just my TV upstairs, which is a Samsung 4K screen, and it's a 55-inch. So when you look at the footage of one versus the other, just know that those are the two setups. So my projector, it's a Valerian Vision Master Pro 2, so it's 4K pixel shifting. So it's not a native 4K, but it is 4K pixel shifting. So take that into consideration. That this is with my setup. Your mileage may vary depending on what your setup is, but the results that I got, those were on those two setups. So take that into consideration. Okay, so what did I find doing the A/B testing between a disc and the Strato M at 2K resolution? Here's what I was expecting to get when I went into this. I was expecting to play the disc and then get a feel for, you know, what the resolution looked like, what the picture looked like up close, just from a few feet away, and then go back, you know, 16, 17 feet to my main listening position and do that test, and then go to the Kaleidescape Strato M, do the same thing, and then at 2K, see a massive drop off in resolution, a massive drop off in picture quality. But my idea is to incrementally move back away from the screen until the difference between the two, between the disc and the Kaleidescape, became imperceptible. At what distance, at what viewing angle would the two become indistinguishable from each other? That was what I expected. That was how I approached the test. What I did not expect was to stand 2 feet away from a 145-inch screen and not be able to tell the difference between the physical disc and the 2K Strato M. I'm not joking. I was straining to see a difference in resolution. I couldn't believe it from 2 feet away. Now I'm going to roll in some footage and I'll label which is which, whether you're looking at the Blu-ray disc footage or the Kaleidescape Strato M footage. Now, there are a couple things to note. One is you will see some artifacts on the video that I'm rolling in, mainly some wavy lines and some kind of like interference that's like traveling up and down. And you see them on both, whether it's the 4K disc or the Kaleidescape Strato M. That is an issue with my camera. That is not visible when watching it with the naked eye. That came through from a limitation on my camera. That's not an issue with the source material. It's not an issue with my theater. It's purely with the camera. So you can disregard those squiggly lines. You can disregard the wavy, like the round wavy lines in the corner. Disregard those. Pay attention to the resolution, and what you'll see is that the two are basically indistinguishable. I set my camera up on a tripod, literally 2 feet away from the screen, and this is the footage that I got. This is how it looks on a 145-inch screen from 2 feet away. It's basically imperceptible. And where I was like, this can't be real. My eyes must be playing a trick on me. So I zoomed in. I'll show you right here. I zoomed in on some text. There was a scene with a typewriter in Coco, and there was a small typewriter in the middle of the screen, and there was a sheet of paper in the typewriter, and there was some text on the sheet of paper. So I zoomed in on that. I'll show you right here. I'll roll it in right now. I zoomed in on the 4K version, the 4K disc version, and you'll see the resolution of that text. Now I'll show you the exact same footage, but on the Kaleidescape Strato M. It's indistinguishable. The resolution is the same on both, and that's zoomed in from like 2 feet away from the screen. Guys, I am hammering this point home for this reason. The Strato M at $1,995, the 2K version of the Kaleidescape, is a tremendous value. Like I say, the big complaint about Kaleidescape is the exorbitant cost. Well, now they have the Strato M at $1,995. And yeah, it's a 2K. It's a lower end, than 4K. But from my testing, it is indistinguishable from a 4K disc. And it supports Dolby Vision and HDR10. This is incredible. This is a game changer device. I really feel like I'm not overstating this. It is a game changer. Because yes, $2,000 is not a small amount of money. I'm not saying that $2,000 is not a significant amount of money. But consider, in the home theater hobby, consider what else is comparably priced at $2,000. I was curious to see. So I looked up a few different devices, and I had to write them down so I'd get them right. Okay, the Onkyo TX-RZ70, a receiver. This is a receiver that is not considered high-end. It's $2,300. Not an insignificant amount of money, but also, like, who bats an eye at $2,300 for a decent AVR? That's $300 more than the Strato M, right? The Onkyo TX-RZ50, $1,400. So yeah, it's cheaper, but yeah, like, it's not it's not that much less. The Arendelle 1723 Monitor S THX bookshelf speakers. This is a pair of bookshelf speakers, $2,200. That's $200 more than the Strato for a pair of bookshelf speakers. And last, I'll give you one more because I have them here in my theater. The SVS SB5000 subwoofer. A single subwoofer. It's a 15-inch driver subwoofer. Retails for $2,000. Right? So this is my point. My point is that now the Kaleidescape is priced at a price point for hobbyists, for enthusiasts like us, guys that are in the hobby because we love this stuff. I understand that previously Kaleidescape, the main complaint was is for rich people who aren't really into the hobby. They just want the nicest and the best and the greatest, right? And they have the money to throw at it. I totally get that. That's fair. But now Kaleidescape has produced a product that is accessible to most people that are in this hobby, like a $2,000 piece of hardware. Now, another complaint that I see from people is, "Are you kidding me? That device, it's maybe like $100 for that piece of hardware." Which I don't know how much it costs Kaleidescape to produce, this piece of hardware, like the actual physical device. I honestly have no idea. But consider this: when you go to the car dealership and you write a check for tens of thousands of dollars, and they hand you a set of keys, like, do you freak out and you're like, "What? I just paid tens of thousands of dollars? That key couldn't cost more than $20 to make," right? Well, no, nobody would ever say that. Why? Because the key is the thing that unlocks the product that you're buying. Like the key is what gives you access to the car, and the car provides you with what you're buying. This device is the key, right? Like, this is just the physical key that unlocks the entire Kaleidescape ecosystem, right? Like, that gives you access to the extensive library of content to not only purchase, but also gives you the option to rent. You can rent newly released content for a fraction of the price of what you would spend to take your whole family to the movie theater, right? So I mean, you're probably picking up on the fact that I'm pretty enthusiastic about this, right? Like, and it's genuine because, like I say, this is a game changer. I've wanted to get into Kaleidescape for a while. I've heard about it for years, but honestly, for me, the price point, it was out of reach. It really was. And I'm like, I just can't, I can't justify spending that much money on that when there are alternatives, right? Like, I have a Zadoo and I've built a server, and I, have my physical disc content accessible through that way, right? Like, I'm technical enough that I was able to do all of that and build all of that and spend the time and energy to do all that. But I also recognize the convenience factor of the Kaleidescape. But again, I was like, I can't justify the price. Well, now they have the Strato M at $2,000, right? Like having that key available at that price point to now be able to rent movies, content, and I haven't even touched on this. So not only do they have an extensive collection of movies to buy and rent, they have a lot of concerts, and I'm scrolling through the concerts, and this is fantastic. I already bought two of them. I bought the Eagles concert in Australia and the Imagine Dragons concert in Toronto, and they're both phenomenal, right? And I'm not even sure how else to access. Like, if I wanted to buy those on Blu-ray, I don't know if those are actually available on Blu-ray, but they are available on Kaleidescape. And I watched them, and they look fantastic and they sound amazing. Because yes, while the Strato M is 2K, again, indistinguishable on my eyes from the 4K version, uh, the audio is full resolution. You're getting the full Dolby Atmos soundtrack. So there's no downgrade on when it comes to the audio between the Strato M and the Strato E. And so with these concerts, I mean, man, like, those concerts were rocking. Like, my wife and I, we watched the entire Imagine Dragons concert, and it was fantastic. And they have, like I mentioned, they have the option to rent videos. So you can watch movies. It's like $8 to rent most movies. And if it's a super new release, like it's only been out a few months, I did see some where it was like $11 to rent. Try taking your whole family to the movie theater for $11, right? Like, that is an incredible value. You're like, hey, I don't really need to own this movie, but I'll spend $11 for our whole family to watch it once. Like, that's a great value. So anyways, the bottom line is I'm pretty jazzed about this product. I think this is really cool. And I'm kind of sad about sending it back to to Kaleidescape. I'm kind of rethinking my position on that, and so we'll see. We'll see if I'm going to be a Kaleidescape owner in the near future, because there's just a lot of value there. Now, I do want to touch on a couple other things. So one of the things that people say about Kaleidescape is, oh, Apple TV is going to release a new Apple TV that'll stream lossless, and it'll stream full resolution, full 4K, et cetera, et cetera. First of all, I haven't seen anything official from Apple that says they have any intention of doing that whatsoever. Second of all, In order to do that, they would have to produce an Apple TV that has significant storage. Because right now, you buy an Apple TV and it has two versions. One has 64 gigabytes of storage, the other one has 128 gigabytes of storage. So they would have to release something with 500 plus gigabytes of storage to be comparable to this. Second of all, they would have to give you the option to download the file to your Apple TV, not just stream it. If you're just streaming it over the internet, that is not an advantage even close to comparable to what Kaleidescape is, because to have that file locally on your system where you're not relying on your internet connection, that's the game changer. You're streaming it directly from the device locally on your network, and so you get that full resolution of both video and audio. So basically, the bottom line is the likelihood of Apple coming out with some product comparable to the Kaleidescape, I think it's wishful thinking, because I think Apple recognizes that this is a niche product with a very limited audience. The vast majority of people are not interested because, quite frankly, for them, streaming a movie over their 4K TV and their sound bar from Costco, they're not going to see or hear any difference from streaming versus a Kaleidescape. And where the value is for people like us, the enthusiasts, where we have systems that can actually take advantage of this higher resolution, that's a very small niche audience. And Apple can run the numbers, and they know the audience for this product is not big enough to make it worth their while. So for now, it's Kaleidescape. And honestly, I see it being Kaleidescape only for the foreseeable future. So thinking that Apple's going to come in and replace Kaleidescape, I just think that's pie in the sky. It's wishful thinking. That's my prediction. It's not going to happen. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Kaleidescape. Again, I want to thank Kaleidescape for being willing to send me this loaner unit to check out, because I was extremely curious. And now my question has been answered. The Kaleidescape Strato M is an excellent value. And now, finally, Kaleidescape has given us enthusiasts, the DIY crowd, an access to the Kaleidescape ecosystem. And I could not be more excited. Thanks for watching.